Sergeant Hinkle spends all his time pushing Russian men to go to war, to die in Ukraine, then moves to Moscow and takes their women. True American patriot. There has to be a name for this champagne socialist where it's like these rich, wealthy American people go to these other countries and they get to play socialism, anti-Western. I guess, I don't know, it's crazy. This is the video. Playboy Carti and Ken Carson pulled over for speeding. Is Ken Carson another name for Travis Scott, or?
Morning, Officer. Good Congoland Police Department.
My bad.
All right, why are you handing me your Chase debit card?
I didn't mean to.
No, it's another dude. Why, then why? The other guy was wrong. It wasn't Travis. Oh.
All right, Mr. Carter, you know the reason why I'm stopping you?
Yeah, I was going fast.
Wait, did he hand him his debit card?
Police Department.
My bad.
All right, why are you handing me your Chase debit card?
Oh, no.
I didn't mean to.
All right, Mr. Carter, you know...
Oh, no, this guy is trapped. Oh, no. Uh-oh. Okay. There's no way he survives this traffic stop. This guy zooted out the ass. No shot.
The reason why I'm stopping you?
Yeah, I was going fast.
You were going 84 miles in the 35 zone, all right?
Okay. And?
Yeah, and I'm trying to get straight back home.
All right, where are you guys coming from?
Fake news. Who said he was going 85 and a 35? He was going 84, is according to the cop.
Grab me, sucker.
What is that?
It's outside, like, exactly where you
Right
just
across
stopped.
from Kansas.
Okay. And so why does he need to go back home so quickly that you're going 84?
I gotta go home.
Okay, so why do you need to go back so quickly?
He's stupid.
Yeah, Atlanta's crazy, boss. I was
He's
trying to get
searching back home.
He what?
Searching back home.
home. Don't listen. I'm just trying to get her back home.
What is it? Are they rolling? Are they on like MDMA or something? Or what is this guy? What are they on right now?
Fast. I don't want to try to disrespect you. I'm sorry. That was my fault.
All right. Do me a favor. Let's step out here and go walk out.
Why would you do ecstasy and then start driving? I feel like that's like the biggest waste of like a roll ever. Why would you do that? I don't know if that's what they're on. Maybe it's on something else. I don't know.
All right.
Probably lean. Okay, I don't know what lean looks or how that presents. That's why they're trying to get home fast so they don't waste their high.
You know this is stuck open, right?
Oh no! What is bro doing? No!
I just dropped the top. That's okay.
I know, but it's stuck open like that. Probably because you're going 84 miles trying to put the top down.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
All right, let's do that. All right, so you're coming from where again?
Oh, for that call. Check us out at Alarm Center, Irving.
You're coming from where?
Right there. You know the little condos right there?
Okay. All right. And you said you're speeding because of what?
Just trying to get home fast. That's it. I literally
84 to 35?
boss, I ain't gonna lie, I ain't never seen y'all right there. I've been tripping.
Oh, so you're only speeding because you know there's no cops on there.
Man, I'm just trying to get home.
You had anything to drink tonight?
Hell no, I don't drink.
At all? You taking anything, smoking weed, anything like that?
Cigarettes.
Irving Avenue.
All right, just hang out in the front right there, all right?
What kind of business is that?
Ray Port Houston, Georgia Tech, Charlie.
I think he's just nervous though, not under the influence. I don't know. That doesn't present as nervous to me. It feels to me, but I don't know what this guy looks like. He's nervous. That looks more like he's rolling. He seems like he's like chilling. He's just like having a good time.
Stopping you?
Yeah, I was going fast.
You were going 84 miles in the 30.
I'm trying to get straight. Grab me, sucker.
Where's the? Hold
What is
on.
that?
It's outside. Like,
Okay. And go back home so...
gotta go home.
Okay, so why do you need to go back so quickly?
He's stupid.
Yeah, Atlanta's crazy, boss. I was trying to get home.
He's searching back home.
He what?
I don't know, man. Maybe that's how. I don't know.
Home fast. That's it. Y'all right there. I've been tripping.
Oh.
Trying to get home.
You had anything to drink tonight?
Hell no, I don't drink.
Like he's like, what was going on, bro? And he's like, I ain't even tripping, man. I didn't even see you. I didn't even see you, dog. Give me a kiss. I didn't even see you. You're a cute little ass hiding up on that hill.
Just trying to get home fast. That's it. I literally
84 to 35?
Boss, I ain't gonna lie, I ain't never seen y'all right there. I've been tripping.
Oh, so you only speeding because you know there's no cops on there.
Yep.
Man, I'm just trying to get home.
You had anything to drink tonight?
Hell no, I don't drink.
At all? Are you taking anything, smoking weed, anything like that?
Cigarettes.
Irby Avenue.
Alright, just hang out in the front right there, alright? So,
What kind of business is that?
Ray Port Houston, Georgia Tech, Charlie, Uncle Edward, 8737.
12 to the radio.
Called
You can show me 26, 1 out 57.
Copy 26, for the resident call 10.
84 is way too much, man. They were being too nice. Just arrest him, in my opinion. Well, the reason why he's being nice is because if you get confrontational, you're not going to get anything else out of him. But if he's like super nice, then maybe the guy, says like, yeah, we just came from a party, I had a couple drinks. Like, you might say something stupid if you feel like the cops are being nice. That's why they're genuinely, or generally, they try to be a little bit more friendly or agreeable, because you're more likely to say something stupid.
Copy North Plain 1888 Cheshire Bridge, 1888 Cheshire Bridge.
He's just writing him a ticket. That's pretty nice. I don't know the state, but I'm willing to bet that 49 miles an hour over, I bet could get you arrested.
Pull me out at Shadow Lawn.
alright, Mr. Carter, this is what's going on today, alright? You are going to see a speeding citation?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Oh my God. And this motherfucker handed him a debit card with his ID. This guy, he must be like, it's got to be like close to being off his shift or whatever. And he's like, I don't want to fucking process these people. Jesus Christ.
That court date, it's going to be October 3rd, 2022, 8 a.m. I got to finish explaining this, all right? You sign right here. It's not an admission of guilt. Just take and see the copy of the citation with the court date, okay?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Got a lot of chicks this year. How the fuck I don't get my license suspended?
Why would you say anything like that? What is the ticket for? Was it just speeding, or was it... Well, I guess, I don't know if they have to write you a willful reckless driving or whatever. That might come if you plead guilty to it. That might come afterwards or something.
What do you mean you got a lot of tickets?
A lot of speed tickets, man. I just got hit for goddamn 100 and goddamn 70 in Smyrna. Type 5.
How do you keep your license? You got to slow down. I mean, that's...
Yeah.
You know this is going to be another super speeder, right?
That's what I'm saying. I know it is.
To be fair, that 170 is probably nowhere near as bad as this 85 and a fucking 35. Even ignoring the speeding difference, just a road built for 70 miles an hour. If you're not retarded, you probably, that's 70 miles an hour is exclusively like highway, out of city shit. A 35 mile an hour zone, that could be anything. Going 84 down there is probably way more crazy.
All right. I mean, I suggest you high lower or something, because you can't be speeding. Here's the issue.
You got it with this one, but what about the other ones that I feel like...
The driver had several clues for indication of impairment. The cop should have asked for SFST. What is that? Something field sobriety test? Yeah, I feel like the cop could have completely done a field sobriety test just off the debit card, I feel like. If you hand a cop a debit card at a stop, I feel like at that point they'd be like, sir, I'm going to need you to walk the line.
Like, I ain't do it. You got it. You got it, OG. I'm saying the other ones, I ain't going to tell you that. Those folks got it.
You got to slow down. Unless you got a powerful car. I mean,
yeah, just because I got a powerful car on me, I can do what I want. He told me that. I understand.
Yeah, and it's not even about the speed. We got a lot of people that
let's walking down the street, I can kill somebody.
Always, I mean, you hit them.
It's over.
That's gonna be vehicular homicide charge. You're not coming back from that.
You're right.
They're gonna make you serve time on that one.
I never take nobody's life.
The license was bundled with the credit card. It was to me an accident. Dog. Stop.
I know every person that I've been to a fatality wreck, they didn't think that would happen, and it happens. I mean, when you're at 84 miles per hour, you have no reaction time, especially when it's dark out.
My bad, man. I just got comfortable. I seen y'all right there.
All right, just slow down for us, all right?
I got y'all. It was y'all see me again.
I'm just saying, you pull out a bunch of cards and they get stuck together. What are you doing? Coming in your wallet? The American Party is formed to give you back your freedom. I don't care. Quote me. Cite me and quote me. This has gone faster than Kanye West's fucking aspirations for running for president. Less than 6 months. Less than 3 months. In fact, this might be the only time you ever hear about this. Musk is never doing a third party. He's too stupid. He doesn't have the attention span or the drive for it. And if like 2 people ever talk to him, he'll realize immediately he has no shot and he's just guaranteeing a Democratic election. Unless he's so defined by his ass paintedness of Trump fucking with him that he decides to do this just to fuck with Trump. Maybe, but probably not. Oh, that was in Atlanta. Playboi Carti arrested for driving over 130 miles per hour in 2022 video footage. Holy shit! How did he not lose his license for a year on that? I'm rushing because I have an emergency. Carti told the frustrated officer, bro, you were driving 133 miles per hour in a 55 mile per hour zone. It was an emergency. I got stuff going on with my family. I live in Buckhead. I'm trying to get somewhere. He did get arrested for that. But what was the ticket for? Jesus. Are these people? I'm sorry. I'm zooming. No, I'm booming so hard. Are these like rappers? Like really recognizable? Like I would have no idea that guy is. I'm gonna be honest. I thought Playboy Carti was a girl. Oh no, that's Doja Cat. That's a girl, right? I thought these were like the same person. Oh, Cardi B. Maybe that's who I'm thinking of. All these 3 people are the same. I don't know, bro. I have no idea.
Went into effect yesterday, specifically aimed at giving harsher penalties for those excessively speeding.
The law is aimed at drivers going 50 miles per hour or more over the posted speed limit, or someone who is driving at 100 miles per hour or more. If you're a first-time offender, you could face up to 30 days in jail and or a $500 fine.
Why does the number 100? Like, was that a scientifically arrived at number, or?
If you break the law a second time, you could face a $1,000 fine and 90 days in jail within 5 years.
Damn, this is for all of Florida? What the fuck?
Hernandez shares a new law went into effect yesterday, specifically aimed at giving harsher penalties for those excessively speeding.
The law is aimed at drivers going 50 miles per hour or more over the posted speed limit, or someone who is driving at 100 miles per hour or more. If you're a first-time offender, you could face up to 30 days in jail and or a $500 fine. If you break the law a second time, you could face a $1,000 fine and 90 days in jail within 5 years. If you break the law a third time, your license could be suspended for 180 days or a year.
But officers with Florida Highway Patrol say that the consequences are determined at the time of the incident, depending on traffic, the conditions, and the officer's discretion.
You're going 50 over the speed limit on a 25 miles per hour. We're talking about a speed limit of about 75, 80 miles per hour, depending where we're at. 75, 80 in a zone where people live, it's not, I would say, safe. Versus you're going 50 miles of speed limit over a 70 miles per hour zone. Now we're talking about 120 miles per hour. Now you're definitely going to wrap yourself around a tree or hurt somebody else.
According to Broward County courts, from 2017 to 2023, 123 citations were given for people going 50 or more over the speed limit. In 2023, according to FHP's data, there were more than 16,000 crashes due to speeding. While they do not specify the exact speed, the data indicates that there were close to 170 fatalities and more than 460 crashes that left people incapacitated.
Anybody else in there?
Like this crash from back in 2024 that left one man dead and multiple others injured. The driver arrested last month. Prosecutors claim they were driving at 123 miles per hour. The good news, however, is that these these fatal scenes are far and few. As Lieutenant Indiana Miranda with Florida Highway Patrol says, South Florida's beloved traffic keeps people typically at speed. The majority of speeding instances are for going 30 or more, but those nearing 100 miles per hour tend to be in the overnight hours.
We have a couple of midnight units that they enforce just traffic and speed enforcement with their lasers, and I do get the notifications that they have stopped somebody for 50 over or going 120.
Which is why officers ask for drivers to keep vigilant on the roadways, to watch what's in front of you, and to keep an eye on that posted signage which shows how fast you should be going. Sophia Hernandez, NBC 6 News.
What prompted the lab leak deep dive? I don't know. There's just things I haven't deep dived before. I just, you know what, I feel like it. And politics is super boring right now because everything is so fucking ridiculous. So, and I miss researching stuff. Wait.
We just finished up an interview with Masoud Pezeshkian, who is the president of Iran, the 70-year-old heart surgeon who leads the country we were just at war with about a week and a half ago.
Wow. Who's next? The Bashar al-Assad, the leader of Syria in exile. Is that our next one? Good one. Fresh video of Israeli strike on Iran. Damn! Is that real? Wait. This is clearly a person like holding a phone or something, right? Why does the caption say CCTV footage shows dramatic impact after explosion? Maybe just a bad caption? Oh, it's a person recording a screen. Oh, okay. Why do people do that? Maybe exporting video is hard, I guess? Higher quality. Damn. I wonder if they were targeting, if there was like a driver they were going for. Oh shit, do you see the missile for a frame? Is that do you see it coming here? Hold on. Oh, 2 frames. Damn! There it is. Jesus. The giant Iranian flag made me think this was an AI video, as if to say, just in case you didn't know where it was. Oh, I have no idea. Are people saying it's a AI video? I feel like there'd be other angles or whatever. Do you support those attacks? I don't know. I don't know who the fuck the attack was on. I don't know what the fuck they were bombing. It's such a fucking retarded question that, like, you have one side who is just, like, indiscriminately trying to murder as many civilians as possible. Like, that's the whole goal of the conflict, and to have as many of their own people dying as possible. And then on every single attack that Israel does on any place ever, it's always like, does that change your mind yet? Did 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 you see that? Is that okay? Did that change your mind yet? Did that change your mind? Are you changing your mind? Like, the reality is there's almost nothing that I can see in terms of like a military attack that's going to make me think the people that are abducting and raping and murdering, women, children, and civilians. Actually, I'm siding with them now. You convinced me. Actually, that attack is the one that, everything would have to significantly change for that to ever be the case. Does Iran do the we want to get our people killed thing too? No, Iran doesn't, but the groups that they support do. Actually, that's only Hamas does. I doubt that Hezbollah would be as interested in that. Or the Houthis. I think that's actually generally like a Hamas. This is a legitimate fuck both sides issue, Destiny. No, it's not. Maybe if you're retarded it is, but no, it's not. By a factor of 2 to 1, you want a new political party and you shall have it. When it comes to bankrupting our country with waste and graft, we live in a one-party system, not a democracy. Today, the America Party is formed to give you back your freedom. Wow. Do you really think they're trying to get you to side with Hamas? I think people just want more empathy for the Palestinians. It's fake empathy. The idea of like everybody just get along and be happy without having any actual meaningful conversation towards resolving the conflict, that's some like fake privileged white person wealthy shit. You probably should just not have an opinion at all. You're just a fucking retard. Like that's it. Like you should just shut the fuck up. You have no valid opinion. You're hurting the conflict. You make everybody's situation worse off. You're not doing anything valuable. All you're doing is signaling for social credit on an issue that none of those people have any concept of. There's just literally no reason. You don't even need an opinion there. Like that's, you just don't have to think about it. Whatever happened to this girl?
Whatever you say.
I don't want to be too harsh, but I feel like I saw her on like 2 streams and it was the most boring. But maybe they were bad streams, or maybe it was somebody else's stream. She beat her husband. Yeah, I remember that meme, but that was a long time ago. But I'm trying to remember, did she ever, she was a streamer for a little bit, right? I don't know if she actually did a lot of content or not. She was canceled and never returned. Did she get canceled over the boyfriend thing? Did that actually happen? She assaulted her boyfriend and was in police custody. I thought that was a long time ago when we read that police report. I thought that was like years ago, or that was before her Bernie stuff. Maybe not. First time, highest round, best of 6, zombies solo.
Okay guys, we're gonna see how far I will get in zombies by myself. No squad, just me. So let's get into it. I'm playing on controller on my PC because controller is just better, I'm not gonna lie, for zombies. Liberty Falls, population, 1 baddie. Oh, why are you all 3 of you guys swinging at me like that? Hello? Why are you stuck in there? Does that zombie stay stuck in there every round? Okay, so I'm 100% gonna need monkey since I'm doing this solo. So I'm going to start.
Okay. We're being for real right now. They're using the classic skin tone card. Whoa. Hmm. 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 I don't know about that one, guys. Further analysis is required. This is the not okay. This is the okay. Is there a way to like color pick an average over, because which pixel I choose is kind of important, right? Like this is a darker one, this is a lighter one. If we choose the lightest one, what are we more close to? Okay, what if we choose the darkest one on his face, right here in the shadows? Let's try that one. Little closer. I don't know which one. That's like right in the middle, maybe. If we choose the darkest one on his face. That's actually so fucking cringe. Do Charlie? Well, the camera lighting was a lot darker, so. What is this? I don't think I've seen that movie. Did you see your picture? If you're ever going to use pictures of me to compare for racial stuff, you have to take it from the, there's like a Fox show that I did where I had just been sunburned for like a week before going on. So that's like the most tan I've been, I think, in the past like 5 years. Fuck, what was the name of the guy that I did that interview with? Fuck. Will Kane? Oh, was that it? Jesus, thank you for using that picture. I know that there's a... This is the most tan I've been in a long time.
Every fashion.
Let's check. We'll grab from the lightest spot, would be the tip of the nose. That's gonna be a really light spot. We'll do like a medium spot on a cheek, I think, right here. Yeah. In the right light, I could be discriminated against. I want it so bad.
Oh my fucking god. Would you have voted for him now? If he... So I will... I do think that, like, overall, yeah, from so far, I would have gone back and voted for Trump if I knew what he did so far. But I'm still not satisfied. I am just barely...
Like, that's... I don't know if anybody besides, what, Richard Hanania? I don't know if anybody would change their mind. Like, most Trump voters, at least the public people are.
Barely above 50%. Like, this is... It's a good start, but I'm not...
Jesus Christ.
I mean, you know, how many people have been arrested? How many other senators have gone to jail? Like, I want more? Yeah, I do. I want more. I'll never be satisfied? No, I won't. And you shouldn't be either. Never accept mediocrity. Where are the Epstein files? Finish the job? Yeah, stop fence riding already? I'm not fence riding at all. My chances of voting for Kamala Harris were never higher than 1%.
1%?
There was never a chance I would have ever voted for her. She was a retard.
What? She was retarded compared to Trump?
Of course not. So it's not like this is... I'm not on one side of the fence or another. I'm just saying that, in my opinion, as a voter, I think a candidate needs to earn my vote. And if I don't think that the candidate earns my vote, I don't vote for them. I don't vote for the lesser of two evils. Maybe in some cases I might. Usually I don't. That's my opinion. Would you vote for Obama or Trump? I mean, knowing what they did, I wasn't very happy with what Obama did. I like some things that he did. I didn't like other things. 100%, that's our voice as citizens. Yeah, it's that simple. And that's a novel idea. Yeah, and chaos voting. Well, we didn't really have a chaos candidate this time around, unfortunately. You know, ideally we would, but that...
24 killed and more missing after the Texas floods. At least 13 killed and 22 are missing in the Texas floods. Not a good time to be defunding NOAA and shutting the door on climate change research. Why would he say climate change? What if this is the weather machines? What the fuck is this outfit? This woman looks like she got raped by flags. What is this? What is happening here? And another one over there? Jesus Christ. Is that an American flag choker? Okay. 4th of July? Is that how you guys dressed for? Okay, maybe some places do that. All right. Major search and rescue operations continuing through the night in Texas after flash floods. Damn. Well, that's a shitty way to have a holiday, I guess. Guadalupe River. How long until they change the name of like every Spanish sounding thing? Like how long until they change the name of like San Antonio to just like Anthony? Like the name of the city. She's an immigrant wearing anti-ice armor. Based, true, okay. Meanwhile, Nimplol made this joke last night.
No, like there are like 13 confirmed people dead and like 12 like, campers are lost right now from a summer camp nearby.
Campers? Is it children awake?
Younglings, Nick.
Okay. They don't have much left for anyways. It's okay.
Wait, they have their whole lives ahead of them.
Yeah. What? Their whole lives, Bree? That's gonna Bree. When they're older, every job is gonna be AI. Everything they learn is on ChatGPT. There is no future.
Okay, listen. I approve of edgy jokes. I think edgy jokes are fine and hilarious. But when it gets to a certain level of edge, it has to be like a certain level of funny to make it, and that was not even close to being funny enough. That was not even close to being funny enough for as edgy as that was. I liked some things he did and hated some things he did. Is a sign you're talking to a brainlet at Asmongold or however you spell it. True? Based?
Based?
I use that way too much.
How much money would I have to pay you to jump in the pool? Okay, no worries. I made more money than everyone here. Yeah, the chat likes it when Broden holds the camera because he's tall. I like that. I kept saying I want uppies. Oh, that's and it's valid. It's valid and fair. All right, Hassan said I make more money. What about you?
Why? Why though? Why would you? What is even the joke there?
No worries. I made more money than everyone here. Yeah, the chat likes.
Jesus. How? What? I don't understand the beard graying in just one spot. Do you think he dyes the rest, or what if it's like a stress? What if he has a stress patch? Like what my Israel patch was. I'm stealing his youth slowly. I'm osmosising it through his molding. Every time he gets a new gray hair, one of my hairs here sprouts back. Oh my god. I still can't believe he said he bought his car. He said it's for the stream, it's for the memes. Okay. The European mind could never comprehend. The American mind could, or the European mind could never comprehend. Jumping into a pool? I don't understand. Also, look at this fucking $500,000 backyard. Guaranteed that these people were complaining about how unaffordable everything was in America 2 years ago. Representative Mike Collins. Is this like his family or his family friends or something? Or is he just retweeting this? I don't know who these guys are, but they are my kind of people. American flag. This is a Russian bot account. 1 trillion%. Elon Musk and...
Shut up!
Good memes. Viral tweet of normies observing a long dead and ancient meme. All right, watch this. I'm going to do more. The next debate. What is this? Stop. 1 sec.
you something that may seem unrelated to the topic of this video, but trust me, it'll make sense in a second.
Thank you.
24.3 thousand subs, 417,000 views on this video.
Thank you so much. You just have no idea how warming and how generous that welcome is, your love is, your affection, and I'm gratified by it.
In 2004, John Kerry stood on a stage and conceded the presidential race to George W. Bush. This was a cataclysmic shock to everyone. The polls had predicted an overwhelming Kerry victory. Voters were clearly unhappy with the ongoing war and the lagging economy. The Democrats were united as anti-Bush, but never really offered an alternative. When Kerry lost, Democrats sensed voters had rejected not just the candidate, but the party itself.
I did my best to express my vision and my hopes for America.
An era of introspection began. What went so very wrong? It seemed no one represented the party, and the party felt like it represented no one. Sound familiar to anyone? Listen, I've been really on the fence about making this. I've never made a video this political in nature before, but if you've been watching my recent stuff, you'll know we've been tackling a lot of big questions that require big solutions. I wanted to make a whole video on how we get to implementing those solutions, and like it or not, it requires government. More specifically, it requires government led by a party that wants to put the policies that will make these changes go into effect. I haven't seen the party currently in power signal that they're going to make the specific changes the way I think they should be done, so this video is going to focus on the other party, the Democratic Party. Things seem to be going pretty chaotic internally over there, and it feels like right now is the moment to figure out what it will represent going forward, not just to the next election, but over the next several decades. So if you'll give me the chance, please hear out what this video has to say. I don't have a partisan agenda, and as the view counts on my last couple videos should show, I don't have some team or organization behind the scenes peddling some ulterior motive. I'm just trying to advocate for change in the way I think is most effective for the better future I want all of us to have access to. So anyway, let's get back to it, because I gotta put that political science degree I got to work somehow. All right, where were we? Right. The Democrat Party today is at a crossroads. The latest opinion polls show the party with an abysmal approval rating, even as the president gets less and less popular. The 2024 election was close. Donald Trump won the popular vote by a smaller margin than Hillary Clinton won it by in 2016, yet the country seems to believe he won a sweeping mandate, and it feels like no one is arguing against it. What happened to the opposition party? There's clearly a hunger for it. Bernie Sanders is fighting oligarchy rallies or filling up stadiums across the country, and yet no one person has stepped up to represent this anger. Last I checked, the country operates under a two-party system. So what happens when one of these parties goes dark? And how did it happen? After all, 4 years after the Bush-Kerry debacle, Democrats won the 2008 election in a landslide, with Barack Obama beating John McCain by 10 million votes and entering the White House with massive congressional majorities at his back. This isn't a question I want to frame in this political moment alone. At the top of Donald Trump's second term, I think it's lazy and short-sighted. The answers we'll come to would be reactionary, and they won't age well. And to be honest, I would like this video to have ad revenue with some longevity. After all, the problems people have with this party go way deeper and span way longer. The causes stretch back much further than 2024, and the solutions need to be implemented past 2028. So let's start by looking back, way back, for some of us. 2006.
I promise you, that time will come. The time will come.
Harry Potter and Alex O'Connor having a child would be this guy.
The election will come when your work and your ballots will change the world, and it's worth fighting for.
The Democratic Party of the early 2000s was going through something very similar to what it's experiencing today. After the disastrous 2004 election, the party was completely adrift. John Kerry, the Democratic nominee, had been marketed as the safe bet. He was a military veteran who could neutralize Republican attacks on national security while still appealing to moderates. But his campaign lacked energy. Many at the time claimed that his message against Bush was muddled. And despite the unpopular war and a deeply polarizing incumbent, Democrats failed to connect. And I mean, it's not like he was running against Reagan or anything. It was Bush.
Just fool me once. Shame on you. If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
In the aftermath, the party turned inward. People started to ask what the Democrats were actually offering. It was clear to everyone that it was time to experiment with new strategies, reorganized leadership, and a different way of looking at the game. One of the first conversations that took place was about how culturally progressive Democrats were willing to go. In the 2004 election, 11 states had ballot initiatives to ban same-sex marriage, including Ohio, Michigan, Oregon, and Arkansas. These measures were mostly constitutional amendments defining marriage as between a man and a woman. They passed in all 11 states by large margins in most cases. The idea was that by putting these emotionally charged cultural issues on the ballot, it would mobilize conservative voters who might not otherwise turn out, especially in these battleground states like Ohio, which ended up deciding the election. Some Democratic strategists blamed the loss on values voters, people who were motivated by opposition to gay marriage, abortion, and general cultural liberalism, but not much else. There was a belief that the Bush campaign intentionally used these initiatives to turn out their base, essentially waging a culture war to distract from Iraq and the economy. And this led Democrats to question their alignment with socially progressive issues, particularly gay rights in swing states. But there were still a ton of prominent voices in the party that didn't think shifting to the right on the issue was the right way to go. They argue that leaning towards the center on a whole host of issues wouldn't solve their problems, it would just make people vote Republican. The second strategy was to ask people to like and subscribe to the channel, but that never works. The other major strategy seen at the time was Howard Dean's appointment as the DNC chair. Now, if you're anything like me, you're probably wondering, who was this guy? This may jog your memory.
And then we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House!
So Dean, whose own presidential run collapsed after the infamous Dean Scream, launched the 50-state strategy. So this guy, who was, I kid you not, one of the major nominees for the Democratic nomination in 2004 before that Scream, launched the 50-state strategy once he became the head of the party. Now, to help explain what this is, I'm going to show you this picture. It may not seem related, but trust me, it is. You may have seen this picture, or some version of it at some point. It got super popular after the 2004 election. It's a map that depicted the Democratic United States of Canada as existing along the coasts and a Republican Jesus land that encompassed the vast majority of land in the U.S. This 50-state strategy aimed to fix that. It was a super interesting plan and a total game. Instead of focusing on swing states, the idea was to build local party infrastructure everywhere, recruit candidates in red districts, fund organizers in places the party had ignored. It signaled a shift away from pure electoral math, like just getting past the 270 vote threshold for president, and toward long-term momentum building in states like Iowa, Missouri, and Indiana. And this actually worked, like, surprisingly well. Democrats started to win back state legislatures. They took the House and the Senate in 2006. The party looked like it actually had a shot at power again, but it still lacked a clear story. And that story wouldn't arrive until a young senator from Illinois came into the picture. Now, Barack Obama's 2008 campaign has begun to be talked about in certain circles as like kind of mythic, and there's good reason for it. It was the best performance for the Democrats in the 21st century, by far. But there's important aspects that have faded with history. The campaign had an anger to it. They were angry at the system, angry at the lack of change, angry at the establishment, and it fueled into the presidency. Was he in support of gay marriage? He claimed he was against it, but he didn't focus on it. He found the issues he and the party could win on and made the narrative about them. The campaign was able to build a grassroots-powered coalition that shattered turnout records and made politics feel emotionally resonant again. It seemed for a moment like the Democratic Party had found its future. New candidates who followed the strategy became known as part of the Obama coalition, but clearly that future didn't last. Why not? Thanks to that 50-state strategy, Obama came into office with huge majorities in Congress. At a point early in his term, the Democrats had 60 seats in the Senate, a majority that meant they could get past the filibuster, the largest hurdle in American lawmaking. Just so you know how big of a deal that was, the last time a party held that many seats was 1979, and there hasn't been another example since. Because of these huge majorities, he passed the 2008 stimulus bill, the Affordable Care Act, banking reform, and rescued the auto industry from the financial crisis. But the price of those victories was compromise. The Affordable Care Act lost the public option, and many progressives felt shut out. This is where the term political capital is useful. Think of it like a currency. When a politician is most popular, like usually right after they win an election, they have a huge amount of political capital. Anything they do at this point will piss someone off, so they have to spend some of that goodwill to get anything done. This is why you see new presidents doing so much right when they get elected, and then slowing down and getting less popular as time goes on. They got political capital, and they spent it. Obama spent a lot of his passing the Affordable Care Act, and then the bill came due in 2010. The 2010 midterms delivered what Obama called the shellacking. Republicans took the House and started blocking the Obama administration from passing more bills in 2010. The 2010 midterms delivered what Obama called the shellacking. Republicans took the House and started blocking the Obama administration from passing more bills. This period has a bunch of fun, whimsical names, including the gridlock years, the age of no, and the do-nothing Congress. Democrats were on defense pretty much the rest of Obama's time in office, as Democrats never regained Congress entirely. The energy of 2008 was effectively evaporated. The political capital was spent. This is where the party started getting stuck. They didn't have the power to deliver on their promises, and when elections came up, they were always on defense. On top of this, Obama's coalition didn't stick around. Democrats started fighting with each other over the future of the party, and the base didn't show up for the midterm elections. Because of this, big policy ideas had to be trimmed down to budget-neutral proposals, and the more nothing happened, the less people trusted them to be in power at all. Movements at the time like Occupy Wall Street, Black Lives Matter, and the Sunrise Movement showed people were still irritated with the lack of progress in Washington. But the party couldn't put together a pitch to get voters to give them more power.
I know that we all like to do these like retrospectives and analyze like why things failed or what's going on, with the party, or why didn't my particular person win, or how did these people win? But I feel like a lot of it is stupidly and unfortunately explained by history of U.S. presidents by party. Like, isn't there a huge institutional bias towards swaps constantly? Like midterms, whatever party won the presidency like tends to lose like a ton of the time, and then it's very rare for presidents back to back to come from the same party. Like I feel like there's this huge bias in terms of just who Americans vote for parties. I don't know why. Is there like show me a clean and nice and cute chart of this? So we've gone Republican, Trump, Democrat, Biden, Republican, Trump, Democrat, Obama, Republican, Bush, Democrat, Clinton, Republican, Bush, Republican, Reagan, Democrat, Carter, Republican, Ford, Republican, Nixon. Those are two Republicans. Two Democrats, Johnson, Kennedy, Eisenhower, Republican, Truman, Democrat. And then I think the midterms, it tends to go pretty rough as well, at least over the past like several decades. Few decades? I don't know if it was a cute list of midterm losses, but...
in Congress. Instead, it often sidelined or absorbed these movements without actually shifting its core ideology. And by the time Hillary Clinton ran in 2016, the party's message was clear: stay the course. But the electorate didn't want that. Donald Trump, for all of his chaos, at least sounded like he recognized something needed to change. Clinton offered continuity, and in turn, Trump offered change. If you were paying attention at the time, it was clear people still...
You literally spent the first half of 2024 saying we can't lose the incumbent advantage and ditch Biden. That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about right now. I'm saying like two different presidents back to back. I feel like the past like 30 or 40 years, it's just not common, or I don't think it's happened since, what was it? It was Reagan, Bush, where you have two different presidents from the same party winning back to back.
Wanted change. But this drift in the party continued post-Trump. Democrats regained power in 2020, but with much slimmer margins than before. That seemed more like a rejection of Trump than an endorsement of a bold Democratic agenda. The Democratic primary that year was a chaotic mess of candidates with vastly different ideologies and ideas for the future of the party. Biden was the compromise candidate, selected solely on his moderate appeals ability to get Donald Trump out of office. He was not Obama. And once in office, this trend of staying the course continued within the Democratic Party, as seen in now President Biden's own comment to donors that, quote, nothing would fundamentally change. It felt like the party had given up before the fight even started. And then in 2024, well, you know the rest.
I don't like I feel like this is so cherry-picked. Like when he's like, I'm pretty sure this quote, even if you read the beginning of just this one quote, we can disagree in the margins, but the truth of the matter is it's all within our wheelhouse and nobody has to be punished. No one's standard of living will change. Nothing would fundamentally change. I'm pretty sure this was said to assuage because some people are like, you're going to rob from all the wealthy people and you're going to rob from the middle class and tax everybody to destroy everybody's standards of living just to redistribute our wealth. It's like, well, no, fundamentally nothing's going to change with that. This is kind of what this was addressing. Now, I know that progressives love to slurp this quote up and then spit it out like, he was saying, no, don't worry. The lobbyists and donor interests are going to be preserved, and I will make sure not to harm their standards like this. Okay.
Change. It felt like the party had given up before the fight even started. And then in 2024, well, you know the rest. So that's how the Democrats got here. Now let's talk about the fun part, the future. As a licensed political scientist, I'm going to prescribe two fixes for the party to choose from: the top-down approach and the bottom-up fix. Let's start with the top-down. This is the Obama model. One charismatic leader takes the reins, reframes the party, and brings everyone with them. Think FDR, Reagan, Obama. Sounds pretty great, right? The top-down fix means finding someone who can unite the factions, communicate clearly, and move the Overton window by sheer force of narrative. And very importantly, it has to be someone who represents the anger people feel towards the current system. Whether or not you like the vibes of it, there's power in that. When Obama ran in 2008, he brought in young voters, first-time voters, disillusioned voters. He built an organizing machine that reached every corner of the country, and he won. Most of those voters are still around and more voted for Donald Trump than you might think. But governing is not campaigning, and without sustained pressure pressure, even the best top-down approach will falter. The limitations of Obama's presidency weren't just about him, they were about a system not built to accommodate transformation without massive public demand. And that's why the first thing this hypothetical Democratic majority will have to do is eliminate the filibuster. I know I already mentioned it once before in this video, and if you're still a little fuzzy on what it is, let me know in the comments, because I'd love to make an entire video about it. Okay, let's try and figure out who this person could be in 2028 with a tool that has never failed on YouTube, a tier list. This is a bad idea, I think. This part is unscripted. This is the first part of any video that I made that's unscripted, and I've chosen an absolute minefield to be off the cuff for. Okay, Loki, I'm just gonna...
Okay, our new leader.
Yeah, I don't think he can do that.
Well, you know, could he run for a third term? Trump seems to believe that's possible.
I need to look at the rules again, but I don't think he can do that. Who knows, 4 years is a long time, a lot could change. Gavin Newsom, he's my governor. I think on paper this guy works, but having lived with him for a while, he kind of sucks. And he's kind of scary. I don't think he can win. B tier. Please don't hold me to this. This was a bad idea. Okay, Cory Booker, he just gave that speech, right? He gave that the longest Senate floor speech, something like that. That was a cool stunt. He's like bloodthirsty for this job, I swear. But I think all senators are B tier. I don't know what his sell is. I feel like a lot of political analysts will talk about having the hat or the slogan or the logo. I can't for the life of me think of what this guy's selling that 10 other people don't already have. But the speech was cool, so he stays in B tier. I feel like I follow this stuff pretty closely. I have no idea who this is. I'm gonna get flamed in the comments. Maybe I do, but
he doesn't know who.
I do. If this guy shows up on one more podcast, his name Rahm Emanuel. Rahm Emanuel has a great track record in Washington. He's been a part of the history of quite a few other campaigns. This guy was behind the Obama campaign that we've been talking so highly about. But he's also, this guy doesn't have the sauce. He really does not have the sauce to be president. I have no other way of putting it other than that. This is Stephen A. Smith, right? I feel like a lot of people have been talking about Stephen A. Smith as a possible candidate. He's been talking a lot about it. It's like One Direction. Honestly, he's an outsider. Like, he checks a lot of these boxes for what I think a lot of people think of as someone who could be a charismatic, magnetic candidate. This guy's a real mystery box, but low-key, just on vibes, I'm gonna put him in A tier. I could honestly live to really regret that. Some of these I don't want to hit on yet just because I'm scared. J.B. Pritzker, the Democrat billionaire. He's very charismatic, but he's such an insider in the party. I have to put him in the same tier as Gavin Newsom. Slightly above, I guess, but these guys are not separate from what has happened, if there's any other way to put it. Uh-oh, John Fetterman. This guy is, I don't think he would make it through a campaign. Low-key, maybe that's a little mean, but I don't think he's gonna make it through. This guy is churning through staff in his Senate office like crazy. There's a new crazy story about him every day. I think a couple years ago, maybe he had a shot. Okay, yeah, Ruben, watch out. I think if Tim Walz was not running as vice president in the last campaign, he would actually have a really decent shot. And they're going to expect that they would. Republican senator in the 2024 election, true leader. When I'm recording this, like May 16th, 2025. When I'm thinking about what the
Who is this picture of this guy? Which one is this? This is Rashid Tlaib, right? Just kidding. Beshear. Oh, the Kentucky governor. Okay.
Party wants. I think we should at the very least watch out for these two. And honestly, the 4 in A tier as well. I think my guys in B tier are going to disappoint a lot more than the forums online.
He puts Buttigieg as higher than Newsom? That's a pick.
Seem to expect that they will, unfortunately. God, this is going to age extremely poorly. Let's please get back to the video. If someone emerged today, a true leader with a unifying vision and structural ambitions, there's a very real chance the party would follow. It happened before, and I think it could happen again. Ask around, there's a hunger for it. But banking on that kind of figure is a gamble. They might not show up at all, and waiting for them means still just waiting. So what about the other option? Now, the second technique the party could use to fix all of this is the bottom-up approach. This means movement building, grassroots candidates, primary challenges, and local wins. This approach doesn't rely on a single leader. It relies on coalitions, on people organizing in their own communities and running for school board, city council, state legislature. It's slower, messier, but arguably more sustainable. There are real examples of this having momentum. Dan Osborne in Nebraska ran as an independent mechanic and nearly unseated a Republican senator in the 2024 election in Nebraska. AOC unseated a powerful incumbent in a
Why would one of your successful examples is nearly unseated?
deep blue district as an independent council, state legislature. It's slower, messier, but arguably more sustainable. There are real examples of this having momentum. Dan Osborne in Nebraska ran as an independent mechanic and nearly unseated a Republican senator in the 2024.
Nearly unseated? I mean, this might be good for Nebraska. I don't know how the split usually is, but that's a good, like, 6-point spread, my dude. 7-point spread, 6.5-point spread. But
election in Nebraska. AOC unseated a powerful incumbent in a deep blue district. These are proof of concept stories. Bernie Sanders was recently asked about this during the Fighting Oligarchy tour. He encouraged people looking to get into public office to follow his lead and run as an independent who caucuses with the Democrats. For aspiring politicians in heavily red states like Nebraska, this could seriously help build up long-lasting majorities, not of Democrats, but progressives and populists. And the 50-state solution we talked about from 2004 had some great ideas, but the party has a serious branding problem these days. Some would argue deathly. Approaching the same method but under independent monikers may be the best path forward in 2025. The challenge is that it takes time, and it faces resistance. The DNC has tried to blacklist those who work with challengers. Take David Hogg. He was recently elected the vice chair of the DNC, but he founded a group called Leaders We Deserve. They've raised over $20 million, and the group plans on spending in safe blue Democratic primaries against sitting House members by supporting younger, more progressive opponents. Under the current system, incumbents get protection. Resources flow to the center, and the media doesn't pay attention to local stories until it's too late. Under a proposal unveiled just the other week, national Democratic officials would be required to pledge neutrality in all primaries. During a call with members, the DNC chairman, Ken Martin, called for the DNC officials' neutrality to be codified in the party's rules and bylaws. This would effectively stop David Hogg's efforts entirely if he stays in the DNC. Now, all this comes at the same time a CNN poll found that 52% of Democrats believe their leaders were steering the party in the wrong direction. And this is what the party is focusing on right now. Stay the course, right? Still, despite the challenges, the strategy is how you build a new party inside the shell of the old one. You win local races, you push policy, you change the narrative. It's slow, but it can work, and it doesn't depend on a unicorn savior showing up on time. I feel like this is the answer in a lot of these videos, but the answer might lie somewhere in the middle. A hybrid fix, top down and bottom up. The idea here is that you can build the movement infrastructure and keep the door open for a leader to emerge who can—
Holy shit, just do all the things at once. Yes!
Think FDR working with labor unions, LBJ and the civil rights movement. You need pressure and vision. Movements without access get ignored. Leaders without pressure get comfortable. This is where things get
Didn't these same people piss and shit because they claimed the party was biased towards Hillary? I'm not getting like crazy, tanky, progressive vibes from this guy. He just sounds like a liberal Democrat dude who's trying to brainstorm how to win elections. He had way too many people way too high on that tier list for this guy to be like an ultra fucking progressive or tanky socialist guy.
Interesting, because if progressives keep winning local races and someone charismatic rises up from that world, you suddenly have a real shot at transformation. But the party can't just wait for that to happen. The work has to be done now. The organizing, the primaries, the messaging, the pressure campaigns. The point isn't to hope someone saves everything. The point is to build a movement strong enough that if someone wants to lead it, they have to earn it.
Wow. What a guy. All right, boring time. Take a deep breath. We're diving back in. Okay. So the main root claim guy, I think he's like the head of the, he's the actual guy who's worth 185 million or whatever bullshit. He phenomenally failed at presenting anything coherent, I think, in the first two of these. But then for the next part of this debate, he brings in another guy called Yuri, who I guess is going to debate the underlying, the molecular biology part, I guess. So that's what we're doing next. We should be able to make it through both of these today. Fuck it. Good luck.
Let me just introduce the debaters and contestants here. This is the second debate in the COVID Origins debate series. Again, we will have two 90-minute...
You debated root claim guy's sister. Wait, seriously? Who is that? No shot. That's his sister? The super Zionist woman? Einat Wilf? She was like a mega Zionist. She's one of those Zionists who, like, when I'm criticizing the Palestinian narratives, she's like, yes, this guy is so smart. What our great white American friends. And then whenever I point out the bullshit on the Israeli narrative, she's like, no, you're completely and totally and utterly incorrect here. You're completely wrong on that. You don't understand this at all. Jesus.
Minute presentations, first by Yuri and then by Peter, and then we'll have 45 minutes for each side for rebuttals. So Yuri, please introduce yourself, and then you're the first speaker for a 90-minute presentation.
Sure, yeah, so I'm Yuri Dagan. I'm a biotech entrepreneur and a drug developer, so I'm working on gene therapies for Alzheimer's and other age-related diseases, and I'll be presenting on the lab leak side of the debate.
Oh, shit. Okay, we got a subject, kind of, close enough to call, I'll call him a subject matter expert. Not exactly. No, I shouldn't call him that. But we have somebody whose field of study is at least closely related to this subject. Okay.
And I've been kind of digging into COVID origins for many years now. So I guess that's the quick introduction.
Also, I'll start your time now.
Oh, so okay, I'll go into the presentation. All right, let me just set my timer. Okay, let's do it. So yeah, I guess I already went with the introduction.
Oh, he's starting first.
Centering on genetics evidence, and yeah, from the lab leak side. And well, I guess I already gave the introduction. Just one point to make is that I'll be presenting just the genetic evidence, but I won't be doing the probabilistic stuff, like probabilistic inference
Thank God.
of the analysis. I'll leave it up to Sarsh, and he'll do it in session 3. So let's just dive into the genetic aspects of SARS-2, which I think provide compelling evidence for the lab leak hypothesis, because basically SARS-2 is precisely the virus that you'd expect to have leaked from the Wuhan Institute of Virology in 2019, because the characteristics of the virus align with the type of research that WIV was doing at the time. And so it has, the virus has several features that are unique or very rare in nature, making it kind of less likely they would have evolved spontaneously in the wild, but more likely that, because they're consistent with the stuff you might anticipate from lab-based modifications or experiments, especially in light of the diffuse proposal. And also, in addition, the low genetic variability of the virus early on in the pandemic is very surprising, because in nature, viruses tend to have higher degree of variability as they evolve and adapt to hosts, but the kind of limited variability of SARS-2 suggests a quick localized jump that was of a virus that was already well suited to humans. So, and that's the kind of behavior you'd expect if the virus was like pre-selected for human infection, and maybe even further adapted for human infection in the lab, in like humanized mice or human cells, etc.
Okay. I don't agree with any of these points, but this is his thesis, so this is what he's going to go forth to prove. We'll see. I haven't heard like a good, a person who's educated put an argument up for these. So there might be really good arguments for all of these, and I just am unaware of them. Like I said, I don't know much at all about how deep the subject matter here goes.
So let's go into point by point into basically the first section of that I outlined in the previous slide. Basically, the main point is, or the first major point is that SARS-2 is just very similar to what the Wuhan Institute of Virology was already working on and was planning to work on in 2018. And in light of that, as I said, SARS-2 is precisely the kind of virus you'd expect to have originated from the Institute in 2019. And in the next 2 slides, I'll just go into specific genetic features of the virus that make that connection highly plausible. But before that, what did the Wuhan Institute of Virology work on? Well, they've been the lab most actively involved in collecting and researching various coronaviruses, particularly those that are similar to SARS and MERS, basically the viruses posing the biggest threat to humans. And before the pandemic, they boasted of having a collection of like many viruses. Like they had an internal database of like 20,000 samples, and that database mysteriously went offline after the outbreak. And so they were like the lab doing this kind of research. And of course, they didn't just go out to these remote caves to collect these viruses. They also genetically modified them in what's called gain-of-function studies, which basically means manipulating viruses to understand their potential for infecting humans and like pathogenesis in humans, but also in the process that can make those viruses more potent or more adapted to humans. And of course, this poses a huge risk of pandemics, because if those viruses escape, they're already like well adapted to humans and easily transmissible.
Okay, I wonder, one thing before we get into this, because I don't know if they'll define it, is there a strict definition for gain-of-function research? Gain-of-function research, or GOF research, or GOFR research, is medical research that genetically alters an organism in a way that may enhance the biological functions of gene products. These may include an altered pathogenesis. Is that like how the disease spreads in the body? Hold on. Pathogenesis is the process by which a disease or disorder develops. It can include factors which contribute not only to the onset of the disease or disorder, but also to its progression and maintenance. Okay. This may include an altered pathogenesis, transmissibility, or host range, i.e. the types of hosts that a microorganism can infect. This research is intended to reveal targets to better predict emerging infectious diseases and to develop vaccines and therapeutics. For example, influenza B can infect only humans and harbor seals. Introducing a mutation that would allow influenza B to infect rabbits in a controlled laboratory situation would be considered a gain-of-function experiment, as the virus did not previously have that function. In the diffuse proposal, it's like one of the things that I thought was interesting was in the diffuse proposal, they mention, we will sequence the spike proteins, reverse engineer them to conduct binding assays, and insert them into bat, SARS, CoV backbones, to infect humanized mice and assess capacity to cause SARS-like disease. A modeling team will use these data to build machine learning, genotype-phenotype models of viral evolution and spillover risk. We will uniquely validate these with serology from previously collected human samples via LIPS assays. Wait, I keep fucking this word up. Assays. That assess which spike proteins will build host pathogens, spatial models to predict the bat species composition of caves across Southeast Asia. Sorry, where did it say this? Oh, sorry, I skipped it. And it was in the parentheses. These use bat SARS-CoV backbones, not SARS-CoV, and are exempt from dual use and gain-of-function concerns. So, like in this proposal, they make it sound like studying the spread of disease in animals and modifying things genetically doesn't count as gain of function. I'm curious if is there a strict, here in the Wikipedia article, at least in the first paragraph, it makes it sound like that would be considered gain of function research. I'm curious if there's like a strict definition or something on it. That type of experiment could then help reveal which parts of the virus's genome correspond to the species that it can infect, enabling the creation of antiviral medicines which block this function. In virology, gain-of-function research is usually employed with the intention of better understanding current and future pandemics. In vaccine development, gain-of-function research is conducted in the hope of gaining a head start on a virus and being able to develop a vaccine or a therapeutic before it emerges. The term gain-of-function is sometimes applied more narrowly to refer to research which could enable a pandemic potential pathogen to replicate more quickly or cause more harm in humans or other closely related mammals. Okay, what are we sourcing for that? This is what that nice sources, Wikipedia. Okay, what about this? Gain of function, experimental applications relating to potential pandemic pathogens. October 2015. (1.2) Gain of function studies. Gain-of-function studies, experimentally modifying a virus and analyzing the link between genotype and phenotype, have a long history of providing very useful information in virology. In the specific context initially considered in this report, gain-of-function refers to those recent experimental manipulations of the influenza virus, particularly the H5N1 variant, to affect its transmission potential. Such research aims to understand the factors that determine the pandemic potential of an animal virus to spread to humans between humans by an aerosol route. Various concerns have been raised about the possibility impact of this gain-of-function research with regard to 1, biosafety, safeguarding researchers, the general public, and the environment at large, and 2, biosecurity, safeguarding against intentional misuse. Experiments that are classified as dangerous because their products or processes have the potential to cause serious and sometimes transmissible disease require special consideration. Previous works. Okay, maybe this is not, I guess maybe it's not like a super strictly defined term, I guess. Testing, has there ever been an instance where gain of functions were used and helped us? I feel like the real world examples would do a good job at showing people its value. I think that's a loser. I think you can never, ever win that argument ever. Even though it's like there's like it's a retard on the other side who's like gain of function always bad. That's a retard argument. But it has that phrase has like been so poisoned by the MAGA and conspiratorial crowd. I don't even know how you would ever even fight for this anymore. But my understanding is gain of function was always pretty common when it came to like influenza vaccines, like seasonally, or just for basic research on figuring out, like how can viruses change to infect people more or respond to basic like vaccines or medications. But okay, so I guess maybe there's not like a strict term. Some forms of gain-of-function research, specifically work which involves certain select agent pathogens, carry inherent biosafety and biosecurity risks, and thus are referred to as dual-use research of concern. To mitigate these risks while allowing the benefits of such research, various governments have mandated that DIRC experiments be regulated under additional oversight by institutions, so-called institutional DIRC committees, and government agencies such as NIH's Recombinant DNA Advisory Committee, A mirrored approach can be seen in the European Union's dual-use coordination group. Importantly, regulations in the US and EU both mandate that at least one unaffiliated member of the public should be an active participant in the oversight process. Significant debate has taken place in the scientific community on how to assess the risks and benefits of gain-of-function research, how to publish such research responsibly, and how to engage the public in an open and honest review. In January 2020, the National Science Advisory Board for Biosecurity convened an expert panel to revisit the rules for gain-of-function research and provide more clarity on how such experiments are approved and when they should be disclosed to the public. One thing I'm also curious about is the particular research that was performed by the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Hopefully they get into that as well, because I hear a lot of people talking about how this is the research they didn't do this, they did this. Like, I'm curious if there's any proof of any of there should be, I imagine. It's like academic stuff, so it should be somewhat open, right? We should see papers or something published, but.
And last but not least, an important area of interest for WIV was furin cleavage sites, and that's important because adding a novel furin cleavage site can greatly expand viral tropism. For example, if you add a furin cleavage site to a bat gastrointestinal virus, that can turn it into a human respiratory virus. And so this presence of an FCS in SARS-2 is particularly interesting because, well, like I said, it changes a bat gastrointestinal virus into a human respiratory virus.
Yuri, since we're going to be talking about furin cleavage sites a lot, could you perhaps just give a quick definition of it for the audience?
Sure. I wasn't planning on it, but...
Sorry to interrupt.
If they're going to make him define it, they should pause his time and let him explain, I think. So he's not like pressured for it, but...
Yeah. Furin cleavage site is basically a protease cleavage site in a coronavirus that makes it cleaved by furin. Furin is one of the proteases that cleaves particular recognition sites that are recognized by this enzyme, and this enzyme is generally expressed in airway epithelial cells, both in humans and other animals. And so, of course, the virus must be cleaved before it can actually enter cells. So it can cleave by different enzymes, but if it can be cleaved by furin, that makes that virus much more potent, much more tropic to certain cell types that express the furin enzyme. Okay, so, and also kind of back on the presentation, furin cleavage sites were a very kind of popular topic in coronavirology in 2019 and 2018, because in 2018, of course, WIV and Ralph Barrick, they co-authored the Diffuse proposal, which talked about engineering novel furin cleavage sites, and other groups seemed interested as well. A case in point is the 2019 paper from Beijing, which described engineering a novel RRKR, furin cleavage site in the chicken coronavirus. But maybe more intriguing is Ralph Barrick's presentation in China that very same year in 2019. And of course, Ralph Barrick is like probably the most renowned coronavirologist. And so he discussed the creation of novel chimeric coronaviruses, and he wasn't referring just to the receptor binding domain of the spike protein, but in his remarks, he was hinting at broader modifications that incorporate changes to other virulence determinants or modulate host pathogen interactions. So basically, given his prior collaboration with WIV in 2018 on the Diffuse proposal, and given his subsequent paper from his team on MERS-like virus cleavage sites in like HKU5, I think it's clear that Ralph was pointing to modifications to spike protein cleavage.
Okay, wait. Where is Cynical Bird or the other guy? Hold on. I just want to ask a couple questions to make sure that I have this 1000% solidified in my mind, because I feel like there's a couple things that I just still am... Where's my molecular biology dudes? One of you motherfuckers. The guy, the Wang dude, or the Cynical Brick guy? Biochemist with a PhD in immunology. I need you to join Stream Disagreement so I can drag you up. Because if I ask a question and then you respond later and then I don't know what you're responding to, and then I get frustrated and then I start coming on stream. Are you a molecular biologist, or did you just join to fucking troll me?
I can't hear you for some fucking reason. Wait.
Oh, European, so he probably is.
I think I know where it is. Wait, be right back.
Unreal, dude. Hello?
Okay, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Holy
What's up?
shit. Wait, okay. Who are you in chat?
Pituku.
Okay. Furin is an enzyme that is on the surface of certain cells in the body, especially in the lungs. Okay, right? This is correct so far, right?
Yeah.
Okay. When you talk about the SARS-CoV-2 virus, and you talk about the spike protein, there's an S1 part and there's an S2 part. When you talk about cleavage, does a furin cleavage site, is that just referring to chopping off the S1 part of the protein and allowing the S2 part and the rest of it to come in, or is that referring to something different?
So yeah, you're right. It refers to the place where the furin basically chops down the protein, basically breaks the protein into two. And another thing is that one of the many things that they use in molecular biology when they're referring to certain proteins in general is they are also analyzed by their cleavage sites. So sometimes when they're looking at a protein, it's like, oh, this protein has a cleavage site for enzyme A in this region and this region. So it's also another way of identifying different types of proteins is also by looking at their cleavage sites. But in this case, yes, it's basically just means cleavage site means the place where the enzyme goes there and cuts the protein into two in this case.
Okay. When we talk about the domain, the binding specific, this, what is it called? The
receptor binding domain?
The receptor binding domain. What we're referring to a part on the, is that a part on the S1 part of the spike protein?
I would have to double check, but I think so. Basically, receptor binding domain means the part of the S protein that basically interacts with whichever receptor exists in the cell so that the virus then gains entry. So basically, the virus uses that protein. That protein has a receptor binding domain, which is the part of that protein that binds to the receptor in the human cell. And then the virus uses that to basically get into the cell and do its shenanigans.
Okay, so when, okay, hold on. So then the RBD binds with the ACE2 receptor, which allows it to get, and that allows the whole guy to go inside of the cell to the little pocket area, not into the cytoplasm, but into the, the
endosome, yeah.
The what? What do you call it?
Endosome.
Endosome.
There's
okay.
different names. Yeah.
So it gets into the endosome. The protease, furin, does that come after the virus has been admitted into the cell via that ACE2 gate? Afterwards, the furin comes in and it cleaves off the S1 protein? Or the S1 part of the protein, or?
I'd have to double check, but it might be. I know that in some cases, you have certain enzymes that get activated inside the endosome because the pH is more acidic. Some enzymes get activated in there. So, for example, they're expressed at the surface of the cell, and then in the endosome, they become activated because the pH becomes acidic, and then they break whatever proteins they need to break. But I would have to double check if the furin is already active on the outside of the cell or if it needs to be activated inside the endosome.
Okay, well, it says on Wikipedia that it's activated by substrate presentation. Does that mean it's activated on the surface or that it's activated in the...
No, that doesn't mean anything. Substrate presentation just means that the enzyme meets the substrate. That's what happens with every enzymatic reaction.
Wow, obviously. Just testing to make sure you knew that part. Okay. Is furin, once the S1 part of the protein has been cleaved, the furin stuff is no longer relevant, right? Then the S2 part and the fusion and the morphing of the protein, that's the next part, right? But the furin thing is only to chop off that S1 protein?
Basically, yeah. So furin is, it's part of your innate immune system because it's there to break down, weird proteins that you might find. It's just that some viruses make use of that defense to actually become pathogenic. So if the furin didn't exist, for example, I don't think the virus would be able to infect the cells. But because we have this type of defense, the virus kind of hijacks it, and then it's how it, basically infects the human cells, yeah.
So I imagine that all viruses have to fool some sort of presented gate to get into a cell, right? They don't fight their way in. They don't punch and kick. So what is it about a furin cleavage site that is so unique or special? Why people say if an FCS exists, then that's likely, or there's a chance that it was human added. What makes furin so special, or why would that be suspect, I guess?
To be honest, I don't know why they would say that it's suspect that it has a furin
cleavage site.
Exactly, a furin cleavage site. Because you are able to find this in many different kinds of cells and bacteria and probably even fungi. You basically almost everything in nature is going to have a protein that is going to be recognized either by furin or some other enzyme that cleaves proteins that your body thinks are threats.
Gotcha.
So I think they're probably saying stuff like that because, it's very weird that the virus only becomes infectious once it encounters this human enzyme. But that's a retarded thing to say because you have a lot of different examples with viruses and bacteria where they only become infectious once they meet some kind of defense that exists in the human body. For example, mycobacteria tuberculosis only becomes infectious once it gets uptaken by the macrophages, which are an innate immune system cell, which is supposed to eat things that like bacteria and fungi and everything else. But the bacteria basically hijacks the macrophage and uses it to multiply and actually become infectious and get rid of your basically lungs, I guess.
Do you know if SARS-CoV-1 has a furin cleavage site?
No idea. I can check. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to find something that quickly because it's probably going to be everything SARS-CoV-2.
Because it's saying, so in the first paper to describe it, I guess, so SARS-CoV-2 is a functional polybasic furin cleavage site at the S1, S2 boundary through which the insertion of 12 nucleotides, which additionally led to the predictable, blah, blah, blah. So I'm curious, if you didn't have the furin cleavage site, there'd be no way for it to get into the cell, right? Or it would need a different way in, right?
But that's like that example you gave for something else, which is it's such a coincidence that the water has exactly the shape of the puddle.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, it uses the furin site, but it could be any other multitude of defense mechanisms that your body has. Instead of furin, can be lysosome or some enzyme in the lysosome or something like that. It's just it happened to be furin. It could have been anything else. It's just the one that worked first throughout all the mutations.
Okay. Is everything that binds to the ACE2 receptor, does it necessarily have to use a furin cleavage site to do it, or could you bind to ACE2 theoretically?
I don't think you need to have a furin cleavage site, but again, I'd also have to double check that because I don't even know what the ACE2 is used for, except the fact that SARS-CoV-2 uses it to get into the cell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even before SARS-CoV-2 was a thing, I had never heard of ACE2. It's an enzyme that we found. So, for example, here it says it's an enzyme, so that this means that it probably has some kind of substrate that is able to bind to it. Just that in this case, the virus hijacks that thing and uses it as a either receptor or co-receptor to get into the cell.
Okay. All right. Okay. Anything else?
No. Anything else, buddy?
No. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. Cool. No worries. If you have any other questions, just hit me up.
Okay. Bye.
Doei.
The primary human receptor of the virus is angiotensin converting enzyme 2, which is the ACE2 thing, and hemagglutinin. First identified 3. The viral spike and the viral spike protein lacks a furin cleavage site. So it didn't have an FCS. But then do you just not need one, or human SARS-CoV-1 appears to have a complex history of recombination between ancestral coronavirus that were hosted in several. Cell recombination may occur during genome replication when the RNA polymerase switches from one template to another. So, okay, well. Well, the spike of SARS-CoV-1 contains a single basic amino acid at the cleavage site between S1 and S2. SARS-CoV-2 has a polybasic motif that can be activated by furin-like proteases analogous to the hemagglutination of highly pathogenic H5 and H7. Okay. All right. Just curious. I guess whatever. Maybe they'll debate it more in depth, but we'll see.
And I think it's clear that Ralph was pointing to modifications to spike protein cleavage. And it's interesting that while Barrick and Shi Jianli of the Wuhan Institute of Virology, while they collaborated in 2015 to introduce a furin cleavage site into a HKU4 virus, a MERS-like virus, this 2019 paper by Barrick on HKU5 cleavage site was not in collaboration with the Wuhan Institute of Virology, despite their just co-authoring diffuse just a year earlier. So it's possible that by this time they were actually competing. By 2019, they were actually competing, like Barrick's lab and Shi Jianli's lab, or WIV. They were competing to uncover the potential of furin cleavage sites in novel coronaviruses. Okay, so now let me talk about the crown jewel of the lab leak hypothesis, the diffuse proposal. So in March 2018, this proposal titled Project Diffuse, Diffusing the Threat of Bad-Born Coronaviruses, it was submitted to DARPA by EcoHealth and WIV, and jointly they were seeking $14 million for a huge research program whose goal was to collect a whole bunch of viral samples from bat caves in Yunnan in order to find strains that could potentially trigger a pandemic. And then, like, this is funny, they were actually planning to go out to remote bat caves and immunize bats against this very same viruses. So,
okay, sorry. So somebody said, just for clarification, YouTube chat, the reason people believe that SARS could have been lab grown is because the mutations it acquired to be able to fit into that spot would have been astronomically low odds to have it happen through chance. So I understand that you're saying that, and I've heard that said before, and unfortunately, without having some very slight understanding of what's going on, I have no way to know heuristically if that statement seems intuitively true or if that statement seems intuitively false. Because there are statements that you could make, what would be a comparable statement? I don't know if I can even think of an analogy to where some things could seem really rare, but they actually would be really expected, and other things could seem not as rare, but they're actually insanely rare. I don't think I can think of an analogy. I feel like I just need a little bit of an understanding of the underlying mechanisms to be able to evaluate a statement like that, or at least to hear an argument back and forth for why a statement like that may or may not make sense.
maybe they should have sprayed them with ivermectin.
It specifically cleaves newly made viruses, but Destiny thinks it cleaves the same virus that entered the cell. That is what I think. You're saying it doesn't do that. It specifically cleaves newly made viruses. I don't understand what you mean by that. That the furin cleaves the virus right as it comes out of the ribosome, or... Does that one lady... Destiny, it doesn't use host ribosomes. Wait, how does RNA print proteins without using host ribosomes? Or what does that mean? Viruses, especially RNA-based ones, mutate extremely often. Just check the real number of all strains. It's not that hard to imagine it getting several specific mutations. Well, hold on. Okay. You have the doctor tag medical professional thing. So the thing that I don't like about that statement is that to say that it's not hard to imagine it getting several specific mutations, I think maybe as a broad statement, that's an okay thing to say. But as a specific statement, it sounds like there are some types of evolutions that we would expect to see in some environments and not in others. So for instance, they describe this furin cleavage site as a polybasic one, meaning that the way that the protein folds or whatever causes two types, like a group to, I guess, flank both sides of the FCS, which is something that helps it evade like a human immune system. So the likelihood of evolving that polybasic surrounding of the cleavage site would be highly, highly, highly unlikely because there's no natural selective pressures for that without the presence of a human immune system applying that pressure, right? Like while the mutation that might happen in a strand of RNA could be random, the chance of something surviving is very not random, right? Natural selection is selection. It picks for things based on certain pressures that exist, I guess, right? So I think it really depends on the type of mutation, which is one of the arguments I think that some people use to say whether or not it was created in a lab or not.